morning. My name is Angel Simon, and I will be continuing off of our presentation for Johnson& Johnson after Diana Santiago. So I will be discussing our functional strategies. Four strategies that I chose to focus on for Johnson& Johnson is the marketing strategy, financial strategy, research and development strategy, as well as their management strategy. Beginning with the marketing strategy, I basically did an analysis of the four P's that go into marketing, being product, place, price, and promotion, and essentially conducted an analysis of each one. Johnson& Johnson has a marketing strategy that appeals to many individuals as possible. It's basically broken down into three main segments, which essentially are its target customers. And those three segments are consumer products, pharmaceutical products, and medical equipment. Their diverse product line and consumer base allows it to have multiple incoming streams of revenue. And their consumer products essentially are the products that you see in Walmart or CVS, where you can really find them anywhere and they're very accessible to everyday people. They're quick and easy to pick up, such as the baby shampoo that everybody knows about, or essentially just soaps and baby powder, things of that nature. Their pharmaceuticals and medical equipment are a little more advanced, and their markets are mainly directed towards healthcare and the medical field. Those are not as easily accessible to everyday individuals, and you don't necessarily find those in Walmart and CVS. Certain products you do, such as like Tylenol and medications, but as far as medical equipment, there's smaller things such as like a knee brace or something of that sort that you can find in a grocery store, but it's typically more advanced for the healthcare and medical field. Moving on to place analysis, being that Johnson& Johnson is a well-known established name brand in the marketplace, it thrives in its global presence as well as it having 230 subsidiary companies. It is an international presence, being that it is accessible to customers in person and online. It isn't in every country around the world. I do believe it's in at least 57 countries. And being that it can't be accessible to every country, it does have a heavy online presence, and their advance of technology has been to their strong suit to where people that cannot access their products at a store or near them can purchase it online, and they have a very heavy income with their online purchases. And it also aids them in their development for products as well as customer service and furthering their research. Moving on to price analysis, Johnson& Johnson offers a competitive, affordable pricing of its products to its consumers. They take into account the consumer price index levels of their products and similar products that their competitors are offering, as well as separate research studies and efforts that allow them to price their products competitively and be financially accessible to a mass market. Being that they take in CPI levels, another thing that they take into thought is the demand and supply of their products, as well as a willingness to purchase, regardless of listed price. That being said, there are some products that they do price more than their competitors, and they just know that in the past and looking at historical data, people have just been willing to pay more with the brand name attached to it, even if their competitor is offering that product at a lower price. Lastly, moving on to promotion analysis, Johnson& Johnson does a really good job of connecting to their target audience when they promote a product with an advertisement. It does promote essentially just a relatable image of anything that people can relate to and just essentially see themselves using the product. And it just makes things easier and allows the product to relate to a consumer more. Moving on to financial strategy, Their plan for financial growth is currently broken into several segments. It's mainly broken into differentiating pharmaceuticals from their competitors and creating internal pipelines within the company, enhancing geographic presence among their international markets, as well as investing in people. Breaking these four segments down, differentiating pharmaceuticals, their research and development department is always looking for new ways of enhancing the pharmaceutical products that they have. They do spend a lot of money on this, but it does result in a growth in their financial department. Speaking on internal pipelines, I think it started in 2011. They're looking into creating a pipeline where internally the company can work for itself. Essentially, it's just bettering their products from different departments within the company and communicating those research findings and bettering their products internally rather than outsourcing information and finding ways outside of the company. Enhancing their geographic presence. The map to the right of the screen illustrates their presence within uh, the international realm. 45% of their business comes from North America alone, 10% being Latin America, 17% being Asia and Pacific, and Europe, Asia, and Africa make up 28% as well. So they're looking for getting into those areas where they haven't been developing as much, or those countries that don't have access to their products yet on land. And that is something that they are looking to invest into and look forward to furthering their research into as well. And lastly, investing in people. The company on their website mentions that hiring talented people just betters betters themselves at being the best. So just hiring creative people that are always looking to find new ways of enhancing the products that are already at the top of the market is something that also promotes financial growth. Their research and development strategies is closely tied in with their financial strategy in the sense that developing pharmaceuticals and their internal pipelines and the people that they invest in will also better their research and development. As far as developing pharmaceuticals, creating newer and better ways to advance care and reach more individuals at an affordable rate is something that they're interested in. Um, Speaking on the internal pipeline, developing systems within their internal departments to license and partner with or acquire better research and development for internal use is also another way that their R&D department can develop, as well as investing in people and bringing in individuals that help grow the company essentially also helps the research and development department in the fact that new minds that think creatively and differently from people that have been there can always be a beneficial thing. Their management strategy is pretty simple to follow. Their family of founders, whenever they were founded in 1866, created a credo, and it is essentially what management today looks for as far as the strategy. It mentions putting their consumers first and always finding ways to um, essentially get their products out at an affordable rate to the people that wish to purchase them, and always finding better ways to enhance their product as well as giving employees a voice. And so there's a couple things that are mentioned in the credo that they still like to adhere to today, and they do a really good job of it. And it's basically a guideline for them and how management really hasn't changed since it began, and they it just creates a sense of authenticity and genuineness to the company as a whole. Looking at competitor analysis, two companies that come close as a front runner to Johnson Johnson is Pfizer as well as Novartis. These two companies are more medical based as well as they're more involved in the healthcare department versus creating consumer products like Johnson and Johnson does. Um, Looking specifically at Pfizer, their marketing strategy provides more of a medical-based approach to their products. This is a little different from Johnson& and Johnson being more directly involved through medicine rather than everyday consumer products. As mentioned before, they're mostly a pharmaceutical company. Same thing with Novartis. Their marketing strategy provides a more scientific-based approach to patient and physician access. Again, differing from Johnson& and Johnson because it isn't really a consumer product company. They do have the healthcare and pharmaceutical component like Johnson& and Johnson does. Um, but both of these companies are similar to Johnson& and Johnson in the fact that they are always promoting research and development and enhancing their products. This is the 5-year timeline of Johnson& and Johnson stock. You can find it on their website, and this is based off of the New York Stock Exchange, and it looks at their stock prices from early 2013 up until current day. And this is a stock comparison, a 5-year comparison as well for Pfizer and Novartis. Pfizer is on the left, and the red line indicates the 2013 year marker. So anything to the right of the red line is from 2013 to 2018. Novartis specifically, you can pull up a 5-year timeline, and it has a specific date specified. And their two stocks are a little bit more shaky than Johnson& and Johnson. If you look back to theirs kind of stays at a steady plateau, whereas Pfizer has a couple occasions where it rises and then falls very heavily. Novartis shows that it was rising at one point and fell heavily in 2016, and it kind of rose back up a little bit but continued to fall within the next year, and then it kind of does the same pattern for the next couple of months coming up to today. And now I will lead it on to Elmer Baruka, and he will lead you off with the concepts.